Hi guys, I'm going to show you in this movie how to take a photograph and mend it to where you can actually create a seamless repeat with this. And as we were discussing earlier, these work better when you have a larger scale where we're talking about where it would repeat itself maybe, every 12 to 18 inches on fabric, because that way, even though we get it to mend, you'll notice that you see like there'll be a dark patch here. And if this repeats itself every 3 inches, you're going to see this over and over and over and over again. So like I said, these kind of things work really well on large scale repeats. But it's pretty great. But I want to show you something first. If I were just to come in and open this up and go into Photoshop and go File and, Edit, and come down and hit Define Pattern. So that's how you create a pattern in Photoshop. So I would go to Edit, Define Pattern, and I would name it Lettuce, and hit OK. And now I would want to test this out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open a new document, and I'm going to make this document 15 inches by 15 inches, 300, create, perfect. And now what I'm going to do is go to Edit, Fill, and then I'm going to go to Pattern. And then if you come right here in Custom Pattern, we just created that. So I'm going to hit this, and then I'm going to hit OK. And look what happens. If we zoom in, you can see right through here these lines that happen here in this grid, because what it's doing is just taking the image and just gridding it on top of itself. And so you see this grid line. What we want to do is mend this. And this is also what I mean, like you can see, if this were to repeat every few inches, you see this pattern happen over and over and over and over again. So when I actually do another test of this, I'm going to make my document a little smaller, because the image I'm using, I just kind of pulled off the internet, as you know, and so it's a smaller document. And how can I find out the size of that document? Let me show you. You go over to Image, and then Image Size, and it'll tell you that this is 12 inches by 12 inches, with a resolution of 72. So it's a smaller resolution than what we were using in the other one. So I'm going to hit Cancel. And now what I'm going to do is just kind of don't save that untitled one we just used. So that was just to show you what would happen if you just put a picture in and then you just defined it as a pattern, and you get this photograph that just ends up repeating itself on top of each other. So what I'm going to do is show you how to actually take the corners and the edges of the image and the computer, and we're going to use offset, and we're going to bring it into the middle, and then we're going to mend them to get rid of the actual grid, then define it as a pattern again, and then you'll be able to repeat it, and you won't have that harsh grid-like edge of a photograph. Okay? So the first thing I'm going to do on this is I'm going to duplicate my layer, because I'm going to want this background layer, because I'm going to keep going back to it and maybe like cutting out some of the pieces on it, and then bringing it and pasting it in, and you'll see as I go. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit Command J, make another layer, and what I'm going to do now is go to our Filter, Other, Offset, and this is still from the last time I did it. So, but you can play with this vertical and then a horizontal, vertical, and you can see right here kind of in the middle what's happening. And I'm just going to hit OK from here. We have this grid, and what we need to do is get in here and make this go away visually. So the first thing I always like to do is I like to jump right in the middle and try to get rid of that. What happens too is it splits. You know, I might want to use this piece of lettuce, but it's been split here, and so I don't have a lot of options. And so this is what I mean, that I can turn that layer off, I can come back here, and I have a full set of options of what I might want to select. So maybe for the grid in the middle, what I'm going to do is, and for me it's going to be easier, I'm not going to use the Select and Mask tool for this, which you certainly could, and select out the piece. I mean, so remember with that, you can grab any selection tool, go to Select and Mask, and then maybe you want to paint out this piece of lettuce like this. You certainly can, and then do that, and then copy it to a new layer, and then bring it in. I'm going to cancel that. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab my lasso tool, and I'm just going to work my way just around this piece right here. And I'm just going to erase away the edges when I do it. So I'm going to hit Command C, which is copy, and then Command D will get rid of the marching ants. Turn this layer back on, and then move to that layer, and then hit Command V. And now I can hit V, and then Command T, remember, is transform, and I can rotate it. So the first thing I might do is that. And the reason I wanted to keep some of the outside, because sometimes it actually works with it. So this actually creates a little bit of depth in here. So if I were to turn this off, see, right here, I'm going to keep it right around here and then start erasing it away. So with Z, I'm going to zoom in, then I'm going to hit E, which is my eraser tool, which is right over here, and make sure it's on the eraser, not background or magic eraser. And you can control the opacity and flow on this one as well. I'm going to go to 50-50. So remember, the shortcut is to change the opacity. I'm going to hit 5, and that goes to 50. Flow, shift 5, and it'll change it there. And I'm slowly going to try to make this blend in right through here. And so on this one, I'm kind of try to just erase away through here. As you can see, I'm going to come in here, get this out up there. I'm going to leave a little bit of that dark because it creates a little bit of a shadow. And so that's the reason I kind of like to do it this way, because it's not just this crisp cutout. Sometimes what I bring in with it can actually help. Not always, and it also depends on your image. This one just seems to work well for me on this one. So I might paint this one out a little bit through here. And do something like that. There. And so now when I zoom back out, you can see that I already have this one right here. And this also looks just like this one. So what I might want to do is free transform this again. So maybe it looks a little different than this one. And then I'll see if I need to do any more erasing. So then same thing, and so I'm just going to work my way around and try to actually fill some of this in. So once again, I'm going to turn these off. I'm going to go here. I think I just might want this leaf right here. Take my lasso tool again. Maybe just this part of it. Copy. Turn this layer back on, turn that back on, and then paste. And V to move it, and then remember Command T to transform it. And like I said, I'm just trying to get it to work in here and cover up this edge. So I think what I'm going to do here is take this one leaf and then zoom in, hit my eraser. I'm going to erase it away so it goes back behind this one. So I'm going to bring this leaf back out on top of it. And like I said, just for this image, this just seems to work better for me. I mean, you may need to use the select and mask, and you know how, so it's one of those things that, this project and every image you choose is going to be different, and every time you do this, it's going to be different depending on the image chosen. So this one's just working for me, and I was able to kind of come through here. But this is also where you can use the clone stamp tool. Remember that one? We're going to grab that again. And what I might do in here is just this little area. I might just hold the Alt key, take a picture here. It helps if I'm on the right layer. Hold the Alt key here. So take a picture, and then come over here. And I'm going to just keep doing that, and it's set at 50-50, so maybe if I want to do 100, I can do 0, 0, come over here, hold the Alt key, take a little bit picture, and then I can bring that over. And not so much, it's not going to help in here because this is too much of a gap, but little edges like right here, this is definitely a place where we could do it. So I'm going to take a picture and look at that. Bring that over. Same thing here. I'm going to bring that dark over a little bit. Maybe this green here. And then I'm going to make the brush smaller by using the bracket key, so the left bracket. And then maybe I'm going to go take a picture of this. And you can go anywhere and take an image. I can go over here and bring it back here if I want. So you aren't limited just to where the area that you're in by any means. Take a picture, maybe something like that, and then we zoom back out. And so notice what's happening. I still have to deal with this right here for sure, this right here, but I'm working my way around. And so what I'm going to do is go around this entire piece and try to get rid of some of these and bring images in like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause it while I work myself around so you don't have to watch me do this over and over. But like I said, the tools I'm using are the lasso. I'm copying and pasting. I'm copying and pasting from the original. Do you have to? Like there might be an instance where I just need this right here, and so I can just stay on this my own layer here. Let me grab this piece right here. Might be helpful. Grab this one, copy, paste, hit V, the selection tool to move it, and maybe I want to blend this one. Maybe I just want to create an edge for that one, so I'll bring that over and then grab my eraser tool and grab and just erase right up to this one and make this one look like it's overlapping that one. And get rid of that. And there. And maybe blend that into this one a little bit with the eraser tool. And then there's a sharp line right here. So what I might do now is back to my clone stamp tool. I'm going to come over, hold the Alt key, take a picture of that green. Once again, you've got to be on that layer. It's going to happen to you often because the last layer you were on is the one that you copied. So if that happens, just look down and make sure you're on the layer. I'm taking pictures of using the Alt key and bringing it in that way. So I was able to kind of soften. What I might also do is bring that darker one in. So now look, I've gotten rid of that line all the way down, right through here. Might be a good place to use the clone stamp tool as well. Kind of go through that way, bring it in. And I was able to get rid of it also there. So in these little gap places, but there are going to be places where you are going to have to take a copy of it and paste it to get rid of this. So like I said, Command 0, I'm going to go back to that. I'm going to pause this, and then I'm going to work over here and over here to try to get this mended, and then down here, and then I'll start it back up for you. Okay? All right. Okay, so if you see here from where I left you, notice how I was able to get let me put this on B so you can see. So I was able to get that to go away in terms of the grid. And we can define it as a pattern now and take a look. But what I want to do is I want to offset it again and see if I see any more. And I'm going to just keep filling and filling and filling. And then what I'm going to do is you could take these if you're happy. You could merge all these layers. So if you notice all the different layers that I have, so I was copying and pasting things and erasing away and blending them in. Also using the clone stamp tool for little holes and stuff. And like right here, I went and just kind of copied just the tip of that and then copied it and rotated it with free transform. Remember, Control T will allow you to rotate your object. And I brought this edge down here and blended it in because it was just kind of too soft. So just kind of making little decisions as you go. And, you know, as I've said, every photograph's going to be different, okay? So now what's going to happen if I offset it again, realize I have all these layers on top. So if I offset this, it's still not going to offset these layers. So I could either merge everything together, or what I would prefer to do is that I am going to do something which is Command Alt Shift E. So there's 4 keys, Command Alt Shift E or Control Alt Shift E on a PC. And notice what it did. It took all the layers underneath and combined them into one. So now that I have this, I can now go back to Filter, Other, Offset, And I can scroll through on the horizontal and see if I'm seeing any more lines. And I'm really not. So remember before when we were scrolling, we were seeing, you know, a grid. So let's scroll vertical, see if we're seeing any grid lines. And it's pretty seamless. So now what I'm going to do is, okay, I'm going to get this layer. Now if it did have grid lines, then you would just pick up from there and do the same thing and copy and paste or do whatever you need to do, add layers, and then at the very end again, Control or Command Alt Shift E or Control Alt Shift E all at the same time, and then that would be the layer that you define as a pattern. So now what I'm going to do is go back to Edit, Define as a Pattern, and hit OK. Now I'm going to go over here, File, New. Now I'm going to make this file 72. Okay, because that's what the image is itself. So what I'm going to do is maybe make this, I think it said that, let me go ahead and do a 17 by 17 document, and then Edit, Fill, and I'm going to go, it's not that one, that was the last one we made. And then if you want to delete one, then you can always go in here and hit delete pattern. So that's the way to clean up your patterns. The beauty of Photoshop is once you save it into, it goes into the actual pattern document. So any document you open or start new will have that in there until you take it out as an option. But that's the one we created first. Remember that checkered. So I'm going to try this one out, hit OK, and look at that. We have a blended piece of lettuce that I could put on a wall, on a skirt, or wherever you wanted to use it. But so good luck, and then any questions individually, reach out to me. Okay, thanks. Oh, before I shut this down, I just paused it, and then I thought, oh, on this one, what I need for you to do for me is to go ahead and upload the original document and fill it in checkered, and then I want you to fill it in again like this and export both of them as JPEGs, and then turn the JPEGs into me. That's what I want those PDF'd into there so I can see the original and then see where your mending is. So what this is, not this original, but I want to see it actually as a pattern, and as you've filled it as a pattern, and so like I said, take this one, do another document, like I said, new, make it the same size as that one, 72 inches, and we did what, 17 by 17 on that one, and then fill it with that first one we defined as a pattern so I could show you what was going to happen. And then there it is. So you see that kind of big grid we've got going right here. So then you would export that one, and then you would export this one, and there's the difference. And now this is continuous, seamless, forever and ever. Okay, bye.